So now it was time for finding a new acquisition candidate. I desperately needed a deal, so I started to make the phone calls, and I moved out of the house, and I found a deal. I found one guy with a $3.5 million clinic. You remember the clinic I visited with Rolls Royces and Range Rovers parked outside with amazing clientele, beautiful women wanting to do cosmetic surgery. This is the person I reached out to, and he was very eager to do a deal. So I met him again in a very fancy hotel. I sat down with him and we discussed the deal dynamics, and we finally hammered out a deal, purchase price, all the terms included in that. I took the advice from the board. I engaged my CFO in the whole process, and it was finally time to negotiate the deal, the transaction, and agree on the terms. So we did that. He said yes to the purchase price. Between 3 and 5 times cash flow was the valuation of the company. It was a $3.5 million deal, so not too big, but good for the first deal. And once I closed this, I would be able to pay for my expenses. I would have decent amount of equity, meaning ownership to my name, and I would have a nice cash flow to pay myself and pay for my expenses. And he wanted very reasonable price. It was roughly around 3 times EBITDA is what we had agreed on. And we structured the deal, we signed the papers, and everything was set for me to go and finance this deal. So now I am on a very tight schedule. Now I am. I have around 6 months to complete this transaction, or if I don't do it, then I will have to move back India. And that was a very scary thought, because that would mean I would lose hold on the city. And really, you have to be on the ground to be able to execute QLA. And if I run out of money and I don't close this deal, it's everything would get disrupted, and I would not be in a good position. So I quickly, once I signed the MOU, I started reaching out to banks, and I did presentation after presentation after presentation after presentation. And all the bankers said the same thing. They said the deal is too small. We would be interested for a big transaction, 20 million, 50 million, 100 million. And this is too small for us. And also, you need to have a track record before you before we finance this. It was very strange, because when I brought to them the $10 million deal, they gave me the term sheet and they were eager to finance it. But when I came to them with a smaller transaction, they started to make some excuses. So it was 6 to 8 months went by, and kept doing presentations, and the deal did not close. I had to go back to the seller and tell him that, banks are not financing this. And this is where Dan Pena's voice hit me. He specifically advised all of the mentees not to go after big deals. I was feeling pretty secure that, I have full support of my brother financially. I have a runway of 2 years, even 3 years, based on the money he was willing to provide me. And why would I do a small $1 million deal? Let me go for $3.5 million deal, $10 million deal, $25 million deal, even $100 million deal, which is what Dan Pena calls the dinosaur hunting. And I started to go for bigger deals. My first deal was $10 million. Then I was looking for bigger deals, and even $3.5 million bank financing deal is a decent size, in the context of QLA. And this is where I got reminded of one of the biggest lessons that Dan Pena provided. And that is, when you're doing your first two deals, you gotta get it done 100% seller's finance. Bank is not likely to finance your first deal. So you have to convince 1 to 2 sellers to do a 100% seller's finance. That just means that the seller loans you the money to buy his own business and you pay him in installments. If I put it simply, you will acquire the business, and instead of paying all the purchase price upfront, you will run the business and you will pay the seller in installments. And that's called a seller's finance deal. It's very common in real estate. And he said, do those two deals, get those two deals refinanced from the bank. Once you acquire the company, you can go and take a loan out in the name of the company. And once you take that loan out, you have a track record with the bank. It will be much easier to finance future deals, and you can slowly start increasing ticket size. I did not follow this strategy. I went straight for the big deals. And big deals always take time. And unexpected things happen at the last minute, which you cannot predict. I could have never predicted this thing happening with my brother. I could have never predicted what happened with my other business partner. And things went wrong the last moment, and that's what Dan Pena had advised not to do. I didn't listen. I went and I did big deals. Because, to be fair, there were some mentees who had done big deals right from the beginning. And because I saw there was so much appetite in the financial markets, I just thought it would be a good idea for me to start off. Why take so many years doing small deals and take so much effort? Might as well do a couple of big deals and exit faster. So, but things, they did not work out because I didn't follow the steps. So now was the time where I realized I have to focus on finding 200% seller finance deal and, and then go into bank finance. So this is where I am right now, and I'm going to be executing these steps. I have also raised some funds to support myself, and I'm still on the horse. I've been completely transparent as to where I am and what's possible in this QLA journey. And I hope that you get to experience this someday. And I will keep you posted. I haven't yet closed my first transaction, but I will keep you posted as to when I do that. I took a different route. I went and focused on big deals, and that's the reason I don't have a deal right now. If I did go for the 100% seller's finance route, it would have been much faster. And people who have done deals in a couple of months' time, that's what they have done. So my pathway was a bit different. I've learned my lesson, and I'm back on the horse again.